Welcome back. You're watching WION The World, and this is World DNA with me, Jules Kumar. Let's begin with the headlines. And he's 11 injured in a stabbing at a Walmart store in the Midwestern state of Michigan, with police saying it appears to be a random attack. The suspect has been taken into custody. U.S. President Donald Trump plays golf under tight security on the first full day of a visit to Scotland as hundreds of protesters took to the streets in major cities. Colombia's foreign ministry criticizes Ecuador for deporting large number of Colombian citizens without a formal protocol, describes it as an unfriendly gesture. Trump says leaders of Cambodia, Thailand have agreed to meeting immediately to quickly work out a ceasefire as he seeks to broker peace after 3 days of fighting along the border. Israeli military claims to have airdropped humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip as thousands of Palestinians face the threat of widespread famine. 5-month-old Zainab starves to death, weighing less than when she was born, marking the latest death from starvation. Israeli troops board boat on which the pro-Palestinian activist group Freedom Flotilla had been sailing towards Gaza say the vessel is now making its way to the shores of Israel, all passengers safe. Sudanese coalition led by paramilitary rapid support forces announces the members of a parallel government, a move opposed by the army in a 27-month war that could drive the country further towards partition. South Korean stocks hit a new high, fueled by regulatory reforms, improving minority shareholder rights and attracting foreign investment, marking a 16.9% annual increase. North Korea's Kim Jong-un marks anniversary of the end of Korean War, visiting a military cemetery and a war museum. Spain will take on defending champions England in the Women's European Championship title clash today. It will be a rematch of the 2023 World Cup final, which Spain won. Now, Israel's military has said that it airdropped humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip amid mounting criticism from aid agencies. And this comes as thousands of Palestinians face the threat of widespread famine. The Israeli military in a Telegram post said that it carried out an airdrop of humanitarian aid as part of the ongoing efforts to allow and facilitate the entry of aid into the Gaza Strip. It added that the drop included 7 packages of aid containing flour, sugar, and canned food. Palestinian side confirmed that aid has begun dropping in northern Gaza. The military also said in a separate statement that designated humanitarian corridors would be established to enable the safe movement of United Nations convoys delivering aid to the Gaza population, and that humanitarian pauses would be implemented in densely populated areas. Amidst the controversial airdrops by Israeli forces, the conditions in Gaza continue to grow dire due to starvation and hunger. On Friday, a 5-month-old Palestinian baby suffering from malnutrition died in her mother's arms. The death of Zainab Abu Halib occurred due to starvation after 21 months of Israeli restrictions on aid. The baby was brought to the pediatric department of Nasser Hospital on the same day as she became one of the enclave's latest hunger victims.
My 5-month-old daughter died of malnutrition due to a lack of baby formula, the closure of the crossing, and the ban on the entry of baby formula. With my daughter's death, many will follow. Their names are on a list that no one looks at. They are just names and numbers. We are just numbers. Our children, whom we carried for 9 months and then gave birth to, have become just numbers.
According to the latest toll released by the territory's health ministry, Zainab is one of the 85 children to die of malnutrition related to causes in Gaza in the past 3 weeks, while another 42 adults died of malnutrition related causes in the same period. Meanwhile, Israeli forces boarded an activist boat trying to reach Gaza with aid on Saturday night. Live-streamed video showed Israeli troops boarding the Handala around midnight local time. Before being intercepted by Israeli troops, crew members of the Handala with pro-Palestinian activist group Freedom Flotilla tried to communicate with the Navy, demanding that they stand down. They also asked for the well-being of every civilian on this boat sailing towards Gaza.
Law. It is not only that, it is a war crime. You have no legal authority to enforce an unlawful blockade, and as such, you have no authority to use force to enforce an unlawful blockade. Therefore, we demand that you stand down. You are responsible for the well-being of every civilian on board this vessel. As an occupying...
On its X account, the Israeli Foreign Ministry confirmed that the Navy had stopped the vessel quote-unquote, from illegally entering the maritime zone of the coast of Gaza. According to the statement, the passengers were safe and the boat was on its way to the shores of Israel. The Freedom Flotilla coalition group behind the action said that vessel was carrying humanitarian aid supplies and that it had been quote-unquote, violently intercepted by the Israeli military in international waters, about 40 nautical miles from Gaza. Parallel to this, Gaza's health authorities have updated the Palestinian death toll in the Gaza Strip, raising it to 59,733, with 144,477 injured since the conflict began in October 2023. The statement further said that in the past 24 hours alone, Israeli military operations in the enclave have claimed 57 lives and injured 512 others, including 29 people who were just trying to access aid. In the meantime, Israeli Defense Forces have announced sweeping changes to its intelligence training, making Arabic language and Islamic studies mandatory for all its officers in the wing. According to reports, the changes come in response to an intelligence failure that occurred around October 7, 2023. Shifting our focus, U.S. President Donald Trump says the leaders of Cambodia and Thailand have agreed to meet and work out a ceasefire. On Saturday, Trump spoke to Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Manet and Thailand's acting minister Phumtham Wechayachai. to broker peace after 3 days of fighting along their border. On his Truth Social platform, Trump said that he had very good conversations with both the leaders and added that both countries want immediate peace. He also said that he would not move forward on any trade deals until the violence ends. Both sides have been blaming each other for firing first and for escalating the conflict into civilian areas. Cambodia has appealed for global condemnation of what Phnom Penh calls Thailand's aggression.
Cambodia categorically condemns the armed incursion by Thai armed forces, which gravely threatens not only peace and stability along the Cambodian border, but also peace and stability in the region as a whole.
Thailand, on the other hand, accuses Cambodia of targeting civilian infrastructure and of using cluster munitions. Civilians on both sides are bearing the brunt of the violence. At least 33 have been killed, and more than 150,000 have been displaced due to the border clashes. In the Cambodian town of Samraung, Buddhist monk Thothoros has stayed behind to care for those in need. His pagoda, once a center of community life, now offers shelter and spiritual support. The clashes began on Thursday in a disputed border region marked by thick jungle and rice farms. By Saturday, the conflict had spread nearly 250 kilometers to the coastal Gulf of Thailand. The dispute, long simmering over ancient temple sites, escalated in May after a Cambodian soldier was killed. And a leaked phone call between Thailand's former prime minister and Cambodia's ex-leader further stoked tensions, triggering a political storm in Bangkok. Now, there are signs of possible reset in U.S.-China relations, with Donald Trump at the center of it. A South China Morning Post report says Trump is keen to visit Beijing, but a September trip is off the table. Instead, both sides are now eyeing October or November around the APEC summit in South Korea as a potential window for talks. Options on the table include a bilateral meeting in Beijing or a sideline summit with Xi Jinping during APEC. The momentum comes after a surprisingly positive meeting in Kuala Lumpur between China's Wang Yi and U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Rubio's presence, however, remains sensitive. He was sanctioned by Beijing in 2020 over human rights disputes, but analysts say China may be willing to set that aside if Rubio plays a constructive role. According to the report, the sanctions could be treated as a technical issue, not a barrier to talks. Trump is expected in Asia this fall for the Quad Summit in India and APEC in South Korea, opening the door for a possible China stop. If that happens, it can signal a critical turning point in the world's most watched bilateral relationship. Now, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in a southern Indian state of Tamil Nadu after concluding his historic visit to the Maldives. Upon his arrival, he laid the foundation stone and inaugurated several developmental projects worth over $575 million. Now, these projects span multiple sectors, including infrastructure, regional connectivity, and clean energy, aimed at boosting economic growth in the state. Among the inaugurated initiatives, Prime Minister Modi unveiled the new terminal building at Tuticorin Airport, which is designated to meet the growing aviation demand of southern Tamil Nadu. Addressing the gathering, he praised the role of indigenous weaponry used in the Operation Sindoor, highlighting the government of India's strong focus on self-reliance and mission manufacturing.
आज भारत सरकार का मेक इन इंडिया और मिशन मैन्युफैक्चरिंग पर बहुत जोर है। आप सभी ने अभी ऑपरेशन सिंदूर के दौरान
On Sunday, PM Modi will attend the Adi Thiruvathirai Festival of Chola King Rajendra Chola I at public event at Gangaikonda Cholapuram Temple. Here he will also release a commemorative coin honoring the legacy of the Chola King. Now, PM Modi will also be joined by a veteran music composer and BJP Rajya Sabha MP Ilayaraja, who will perform a concert. The event is expected to draw large crowds and will feature Shaivat seers who have a considerable following in the region. Here he will celebrate Chola dynasty in promoting Shaivism, temple architecture, literature and classical arts. And this is not the first time PM Modi is reaching out to Tamil Nadu. In 2023, he installed the Sengol, a historic scepter, in the new Parliament House in 2023, which was attended by Shaivat seers from Tamil Nadu. The Sengol, which traces its roots back to the Chola dynasty, was used in succession ceremonies to signify the transfer of power from one king to another. Many analysts believe that the BJP, which does not have a strong presence in southern states, is trying to woo the seers and the Tamil community ahead of the 2026 elections in the state. According to reports, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin is also likely to give the event a miss, stating that as he is in hospital, Stalin said he will be sending Minister for Finance and Environment and Climate Change, Thangam Thenarasu, with his petitions. M.K. Stalin is from the ruling DMK, and according to reports, PM Modi's party BJP is likely to ally with the AIDMK for the 2026 elections, once again giving DMK a challenge. US-China trade talks will be the main event of the week, along with China's July Purchasing Managers Index. Other key data reports are expected from South Korea, Japan and Taiwan. The Bank of Japan is seen leaving rates unchanged. Now here is a report for more on this.
Whether the US-China tariff ceasefire can be extended becomes crucial this week. Tariffs were drastically cut in a 90-day ceasefire agreement that was effective in May. This is set to expire on August 12th. One big question for markets is whether the tariff ceasefire is extended. While an agreement is expected, markets will watch closely to see if there are adjustments to current tariff rates in either direction. In terms of data, the official July PMI will be in focus, set for release on Thursday. The manufacturing PMI is expected to remain in contraction at 49.6. Markets will be keen to see if there's a rebound following the de-escalation in trade war tensions or if the downward pressure remains. Separately, markets widely expect no policy action at the Bank of Japan's 30-31 July meeting. Yet investors will closely monitor the BOJ's quarterly macro outlook. Given the US-Japan trade deal struck last week, a big uncertainty factor has been removed. This could offer some relief for the BOJ. The recent trade deal should still be negative for the Japanese economy. Also, possible upward revisions of inflation forecasts should offer markets hints about the near-term rate outlook. While Tokyo inflation is cooling, it still remains elevated enough to keep the BOJ normalization on track. It's a close call, but markets continue to believe October is a likely time for the rate hike. This assumes that services and manufactured food prices will rise and manufacturing and exports will recover modestly over the coming months. Separately, Taiwan's second quarter GDP release will be in focus this week. Given the continued outperformance of monthly data and inflation pressures cooling faster than expected, GDP growth is predicted to accelerate. Investors in Asia will have plenty of economic data to pass this week to understand the trajectory for the second half of this year. Business Bureau, WION World is one.
Now, whether the US-China tariff ceasefire can be extended becomes crucial this week. But of course, we move on to some sports news now. Now we go to women's football. After 50 dramatic, hard-fought matches, the women's Euro champions will be crowned today. Holders England and world champion Spain are set to face off in Bastille. Now, today's match will be a repeat of the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup final. Spain emerged victorious in Sydney. It should have been the crowning moment of their journey, but that win was overshadowed by former Spanish FA chief Luis Rubiales. And that forced kissed on Jennifer Hermoso. Since then, the two European heavyweights have met twice with one win apiece. Overall, England lead to the head-to-head 7 wins to 4 across their 14 meetings.
Won the World Cup. I think they probably could have had more support, and obviously after the game there was a lot of controversy, and I don't think for them there was enough spotlight on how incredible they played and how incredible some of their players were. It was all about, you know, the other stuff that had gone on, and I think as a professional that was disappointing to see, and obviously I have a lot of friends in that team, and I think, yeah, they probably deserved a little bit more than what they got.
Monse Tome Spain cruised through the group stage with a perfect record. They then knocked out host Switzerland in the quarters and edged out 8-time champions Germany in the extra time thanks to Aitana Bonmati's winner. For the first time ever, La Roja are in the women's Euro final. While Spain's run has been dominant, England's path has been all about resilience. The holders qualified second from Group D behind France. In the quarters, they were on the brink of elimination until they scored twice in 3 minutes to force penalties against Sweden. Then came the semi-final against Italy. The Lionesses trailed again until Michelle Guillemang scored a 96-minute equalizer, and Chloe Kelly sealed the win in the dying seconds of extra time.
Yeah, I think obviously the teams will be watching that, and I think, yeah, we've not given up in any game, so I guess that's kind of the message we've been sending. But also Spain are an incredible team, and we've played them many times and we know what their strengths are as well, so yeah, it's going to be a difficult game, and obviously they went to extra time last night and won as well, so they've proven that they can also do the same, so yeah, it's going to be an interesting game.
Well, that's on a World DNA today. We leave you with some climate stories that are making headlines across the world. Thanks for watching. Keep watching WION World is One.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One. This week on the West Asia Post. Gaza is a graveyard. From collapsing homes to mass starvation, every corner whispers death. Houthis are turning up the heat. A new wave of attacks a new front in the Red Sea war. Syria bleeds quietly. Can Damascus survive the next storm? A series of mysterious fires in Iran has Tehran screaming sabotage. But who is behind this shadow war? Tune into the West Asia Post only on WION World is One.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is One.
I think it's very important for us all to encourage and celebrate entrepreneurship. I'm glad that you're doing this, Nem, that the channel's doing it. It's a great contribution and everyone has a role to play in this.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the U.S.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of. A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA. Join the conversation.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Hello and welcome. You are watching The Interview. I am Molly Gambhir and I have with me a very special guest, someone who needs no introduction, Richard Gere. Thank you for being here. Welcome to WION World is One.
Yeah, hi Molly.
We're going to start off by talking about your journey. And tell us more about what drew you towards Buddhism and advocating for Tibetan culture and human rights.
Well, I think any philosophical, spiritual journey begins with probably two issues. One, a kind of a curiosity about the world and a curiosity about our own minds. But I think also there's no point doing the deep work on your mind unless you're in some state of suffering. And certainly Buddhism engages that question. And as a young man, I was feeling what I call the dissonance of life, that what we are told, the conceptual frameworks of our world and our emotional world, and even like what we are, who am I? What is this all about? Is that my internal experience of that, my innate experience of that, was not fitting the external description. And so I explored different ways of looking at my